Kato was a Ugandan man who traveled to eastern Nigeria in search of greener pastures. Life in Uganda had been tough, and he believed Nigeria would offer him better opportunities. Settling in a small farming community, he met and married Ugoma, a kind and patient woman. They built their lives together, relying on farming to survive. However, after 2 years of marriage, Ugoma had not conceived. Kato became increasingly frustrated and took every opportunity to insult and shout at her. Despite the verbal abuse, Ugoma remained by his side, hoping and praying for a miracle. Feeling that Ugoma was barren, Kato decided to take a second wife. He paid the dowry for a young woman named Kene, believing she would give him the child he desperately wanted. However, Kene quickly realized the kind of man Kato was. After experiencing his constant shouting and occasional beatings, she packed her things and left without looking back. Ugoma, despite the mistreatment, stayed. She found solace in her faith, frequently visiting the local church to pray for Kato's success and for God to bless her with the fruit of the womb. 3 months later, Kato's luck seemed to change. He secured a well-paying job in Delta State, and Ugoma was overjoyed, believing that God was finally answering her prayers. Before leaving, Kato assured her that once he settled down, he would send for her. "Just 4 months," he said. "I'll be back to take you with me." Ugoma held onto those words like a lifeline. She continued to pray, believing Kato would fulfill his promise. But 4 months turned into a year, then a year and 6 months. She had not heard a word from him. Worried and desperate, she sent a letter reminding him of his promise. A week later, she finally received a phone call from Kato. "Ugoma, move on with your life," he said coldly. "You're too old and barren. I have remarried, and I am happy. Don't call me again." Before she could say a word, he hung up. Ugoma toiled in tears. She had no family, no children, and now, the only man she had ever known had abandoned her. Kato now lived in a beautifully furnished house provided by his company. His new wife, Gloria, was educated, elegant, and well-spoken. A year into the marriage, however, she had not conceived. Kato's old frustrations resurfaced, and he began to treat Gloria the same way he had treated Ugoma, yelling at her, blaming her, making her feel worthless. "I am fertile," Gloria would shout back. "The doctors confirmed it. Why don't you get tested for once?" Kato scoffed at the idea. "You must be insane. I have no problems. I refuse to keep pouring water into a basket." Instead of listening, he found comfort in the arms of other women, spending late nights with young Delta girls and completely ignoring Gloria. One day, Kato attended a business meeting affiliated with a major company. There, he met Kathy, a stunning woman with a captivating presence. Her charm mesmerized him, and after the meeting, he eagerly reintroduced himself. Kathy was different from the women he had been with before. She was not only intelligent but also pretty, with a charming face and a firm, beautiful body. He could not take his eyes off her. Kathy will always call him Chief because of the traditional attire he loves wearing every single time. He will always take Kathy out on expensive dates, admiring her untamed beauty. He cares no more for this wife Gloria because he claims he has finally fallen in love. Gloria got irritated by the sight of them together. She packed her things and left his house one of the days he spent an entire weekend with Kathy. He still did not care about Gloria's feeling or troubled himself thinking about where she went to. A part of him became more excited because no one will ask him silly questions about his whereabouts. Kato takes Kathy to expensive boutiques, buying her the best quality of clothes. He takes her for numerous vacations, spoiling her with gifts. Kathy was his new heaven. He will take her home, spending quality and intimate time with her. He was so happy with all the good time they spent together. One evening, Kathy proposed a business idea worth billions of naira. "Invest in this," she urged. "It will double your net worth in no time." Kato hesitated. "That's almost everything I have," he admitted. "Then take a loan," Kathy suggested. "Use your house as collateral. Trust me, this deal is worth it." Blinded by love, Kato forged company documents to secure a loan using the house his company had given him. A few days later, Kathy took the contract and blew him a kiss as she walked out of his office. 3 weeks passed. No word from Kathy. When he tried calling, all her numbers were unreachable. Panic set in. The bank seized his house. The company fired him immediately upon discovering he had used their property as collateral. His cars were repossessed. His bank accounts drained. Kato had lost everything. Disgraced and penniless, Kato packed his bags and returned to the village, hoping Ugoma would take him back. As he walked through the village, people stared at him. He could not understand why. Arriving at his home, he found the house dusty and abandoned. Ugoma's belongings were still there and scattered. He asked around about her whereabouts. A villager pointed toward the bush outside the village. "She's there." Confused, Kato followed the direction given. Then, the truth was revealed. Ugoma had died a year ago. She had suffered from kidney failure and needed an expensive transplant. The only doctor willing to perform the surgery demanded millions of naira. "We called your phone tirelessly," a villager said. "You never answered." Kato collapsed at Ugoma's graveside, weeping bitterly, promising to be a better man and change from his wicked ways. Months later, after mourning Ugoma, Kato married another woman named Cheta. Unlike before, he treated his new wife with respect and care, desperate to redeem himself. The villagers often gossiped that Kato was impotent, that Ugoma and his previous wives never conceived because of him. But then, Cheta became pregnant. Kato boasted to everyone that he was indeed a real man and that his former wives had been cursed. He will always assist her to do some housework and treated her like an egg. He washed her clothes, something he had never done before, do the dishes and sometimes cooks for her. He truly turned a new leaf. As the due date approached, Cheta developed complications. She needed an urgent operation in a bigger hospital. Kato, desperate not to lose his one chance at fatherhood, sold his last remaining farmland for medical expenses. The surgery was successful. Cheta gave birth to a baby boy. Kato named him Uzo. For 2 years, he and Cheta lived happily, until one fateful day when Uzo fell seriously ill. At the hospital, doctors said the boy needed an urgent blood transfusion. Kato quickly volunteered, but when the results came back, they delivered shocking news. "Sir, your blood type does not match the child's." Kato frowned. "Doctor, what are you saying?" "We should run further tests," the doctor suggested. Weeks later, the results confirmed the unthinkable. Kato was impotent and the child was not his. Heartbroken, Kato confronted Cheta. "Is this child truly mine?" Cheta, with no remorse, packed her bags. "The real father is back," she said coldly. "He wants to marry me." Furious and devastated, Kato demanded that she leave and take her child with her. Kato was left alone, his life in ruins. He had lost his wealth, his home, and now even the son he thought was his. The villagers laughed behind his back, whispering that Ugoma's spirit was still punishing him. From inside out, Kato was devastated. What did he really get himself into? Is Ugoma's spirit still punishing him? After he lost his wealth, he sold the land he had for peanuts because he was desperate to be called a father without subjecting himself to any form of medical test. He lived the rest of his life, lonely in the village, old and always praying for death, no one taking care of him, with no farmland, no wife, and no children. He spent his days in solitude. At night, he would sit outside his empty house, staring at the sky, calling out Ugoma's name. He spent the rest of his days waiting for death.